Right. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Chef Scott. I'm the owner and executive chef of Lost River Catering here in Bowling Green. And I'm going to make a simple meal tonight. Owen's not with me right now. He'll probably join us later whenever we start to wrap this up. But this is a YouTube video. It's going to kind of be a little more complex. It shows the things that are required to make this meal. And this is actually one of my favorite meals. It's a marinated lime chicken. It's very easy to make as long as if you've prepped for it. It's like anything else. I tell professionals that have worked for me in the kitchen, we can do parties of 10, we can do parties of 100, we can do parties of 1,000. It's all about prepping. And so prepping is very, very important. So this is a very simple dish that it does require a little bit of prep because it's going to have to marinate by nature of the very name that's in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off with our chicken breast. We're going to go ahead and lay this out here. And it's important that whenever I'm working with poultry that I use a glove, that I use a separate cutting board, that I use a separate knife for working with poultry, because poultry, is one of those things where if it's not taken care of, it can be it's obviously not cooked well enough. It can make people sick. So we definitely want to make sure that whenever I'm done working with this knife, this board, go away, because I'm going to be cutting up vegetables next, and I don't want to be cutting vegetables on the same board that I'm cutting poultry. Right? And so a lot of places will actually have cutting boards color coded. So we're going to start by simply just scoring our chicken breast, put nice deep scores in them, probably about 1/4 of an inch deep. All right, I'm going to put them horizontally. Okay, you can see that you got a nice scored chicken. We'll do the third one. I'm only going to make 3 of these. So this is going to be dinner tonight, actually. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place them in my bowl. I've got all my mise en place laid out, everything ready to go for this meal. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the juice of 4 limes and 1 clove of garlic. Now I went ahead and minced the garlic clove and went ahead and squeezed the limes before this because I didn't really feel like it was something that needed to be done. But I am going to go ahead and chop up the cilantro that's going to go into it. Okay, and obviously I'm going to want to switch boards, so let's go ahead and do that. Almost made a mistake. So I'm going to put the board over here, take the glove off. I can, for things like this, I can always get another glove. I like to always have a glove on the hand, on my right hand. I'm left-handed, and so the hand that's going to be touching the food, I always try to have some type of cover over it. All right, so now I've got my cilantro out here, and I've got my chicken that's sitting in this mixture here, and I'm going to grab another knife. I'm going to grab another French knife. I had one that I was using, that was kind of a backup one, and this is, the one I'm going to mainly be using because it's pretty sharp. Oh yeah, nice and sharp. We're going to cut the cilantro up. We're going to really cut it up nice. You have a nice sharp knife. This goes so fast. I mean, if your knife is not kept sharp, it really, really, really makes it hard. All right. And this doesn't have to be a mince. It's not something that you just need to get a nice, decent chop, something like this. All right. My next step is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of push that on into the bowl, and that's ready to go. Actually, there's really not much more. I'm going to give it a good toss. Once again, now I'm touching the poultry again, so I'll have to remember to remove that glove. Okay, and so my next step is I'm actually going to let this chill in the refrigerator for an hour. So I'm just going to stuck it in the refrigerator, and I'm going to scoot over just a little bit here so you can actually see me a little bit better. There we go. All right, and so while that's chilling, obviously I'm going to have to work on the sides of this. I chose green beans, and I also chose new potatoes for this. So I've got the water almost at a boil here, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of the potatoes first. I've got a little bit on here. I can always wipe it off a little bit, just kind of get it nice and clean. I mean, there wasn't poultry on it, so there's no real major cross-contamination or anything. And so my next step is I'm going to cut the tops and bottoms off. A lot of people don't do, a lot of chefs don't do this, but I do. I work for some chefs over the years, and they always encourage me to do this. So you're going to want to kind of cut the tops and bottoms off. It's just a presentation thing. Obviously, if you're quartering potatoes, then you would definitely want to do that. But since I'm not, and these are multicolored, they're different colors, very pretty. And you know, whenever you're making a plate, the chefs that I worked for always told me you really want to do two things. You want to make sure that you have lots of color and you have lots of height. All right. I've looked at dishes. I've gone to restaurants before that charged hundreds of dollars, and when I would look at my plate, everything on the plate was brown. I mean, it was just like they had. I mean, it was smashed down. It was brown. It just wasn't very attractive. And so, plate presentation is something that I think is very important. It matters. Maybe not to some people, but it does to me for certain. And you know, I was kind of taught kind of old school as far as the old style of French cuisine. And so I always want to make sure, even the simplest, like this is a simple dish. There's nothing really overly special about it. It's green beans, new potatoes, and marinated lime chicken. I mean, it's as easy as it gets. But that doesn't mean that when that plate comes out, that it can't look spectacular, and it should. It should look spectacular. It should look like something that I would serve to myself. And I'm not a really overly picky eater. I mean, I'm not. You know, I can be sometimes. There's certain things I don't like. There's certain things I do. But you know, when I go to a restaurant, I'm not looking to like gripe or complain or anything like that. But I do think that plate presentation, even in quick service restaurants, can be is important. You know, I've gone to Disney World before and gone to some of their quick service places, and I've gotten a meal, and the presentation was fabulous. And you know, I mean, I get it; it's Disney World, but at the same time, it's still quick. It's not fine dining; it's quick service. But the presentation matters. And so, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm almost done. This is my last one, so I'm gonna cut the ends off of these. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this over to the boiling water. I'm gonna let this kind of. And so I'm working. You know, I'm kind of visualizing. Obviously, the chicken's not ready to be cooked yet. So the potatoes, that water, I've had that boiling for about probably about 15-20 minutes. Make sure I don't burn myself. I've done that before. All right, so that's going to be in there. I'm going to clean this thing out. All right. All right. And I can even flip the board over if I want to, you know, use the other side of it. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of our trash. Get rid of this glove. All right, so now I'm ready to move on to the green beans. The potatoes will take care of themselves. You know, they're going to take about 10-15 minutes to cook. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean some green beans. Green beans are one of my favorites, but they're like the potatoes. I like the ends cut off, and they need to kind of be somewhat uniform whenever you're putting them on a plate. So what I like to generally do is I like to grab a few of them out, or like whenever I'm thinking about the plate that I'm going to be making. You know, I always try to get these kind of lined up to where they're kind of all the same length. You know, you just really want to try to get that. That's really what you're going for. Now, some of these are pretty short, and that's going to happen, and that's okay. We can obviously move those to the end here because they are shorter. But there we go. So there's one. Okay, so we'll put this right over here and kind of clean this up with it. I love green beans. Just absolutely my favorite. And I understand that you know, I don't have a vegetable here. I have starch and legume, but at the same time, it's green, and that counts for something, right? It's not a starch. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm cooking for 4 people tonight, so 2 adults, 1 child. So I'm going to kind of visualize that, you know, as I'm making this. I'll over prep. I might. I mean, maybe I do want to over prep. Maybe I want to prep for, you know, another night. But I've grabbed I'm gonna grab 4 handfuls. I'm gonna do 4 of these. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and light this thing up, get this thing warmed up. Because I'm going to be doing some work here in a second. Let me get these green beans kind of lined up nicely. This one's kind of, yeah. You know, I get criticized a lot for, you know, if I waste a little bit, it's okay. One thing you can do with your scraps, and I worked for a French restaurant in Louisville before I moved to Bowling Green, is you can always take and have like a pot laying off to the side and use it for stock. You know, you can just use it for stock. And so I didn't do that tonight because I don't feel like making stock tonight, but I'm getting close here. I'm pretty close to having enough for all of this here. Maybe one more handful. Should just about do it. That thing's getting hot. I can almost feel it. I'm going to cook my green beans in that. I've got my green beans that I make are generally pretty basic. They're I use bacon, I use onions, and I use salt and pepper. That's it. I don't really use much else. I don't really, you know, I really kind of adhere to the classical French method of things. And, you know, when people think French food, they think complex, and it's just not. It's very simple, very basic. You know, whenever I was going through culinary school, it was explained to me that there are 5 mother sauces, and everything is a variation of those 5 things. So when you're going to make one, you tweak it a little bit, then, you know, all of a sudden you have something else. So now I've got my green beans ready to go. That thing is getting hot. Yeah, it's getting hot. I can feel it. All right. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna get some oil out. Looking at my potatoes. Potatoes look good. They'll take care of themselves. They're fine. One thing about potatoes. We get some olive oil here. That's one thing I forgot to get. I try to think about everything, but I'm kind of behind it. All right. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my onion out. Onions make me cry sometimes. I don't know why red onions are, for some reason, they make me cry more. But I'm going to try to work quickly on this thing. I'm going to cut probably a nice medium dice. Notice I haven't changed gloves. You know, if you're just doing produce, you don't really need to change gloves. It's when you touch things like beef, meats, anything like that, eggs. Like if you're stirring eggs or something like that and you're having to get it on your hands, obviously you want to swap that out. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put do a nice die. I'm going to start by cutting it horizontally, and then I'm going to make a couple of quick cuts. And depending on how small you want your dice is how many times you'll make those cuts. Then I'm going to turn it again and make another cut. And I've got a nice dice. All right, I'm going to do that again with this one. Oh, it's already starting to make me cry. All right, better move fast, Scott. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to go. Get this in here. If you have dogs, you want to make sure that you don't get any onion on the floor. I've heard that onion is not good for dogs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get I guess this pot is, hopefully it's ready. I pour the oil in there and it starts to creep around. Like, yeah, it is, there it is. Then I know it's hot. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in there. You can hear it sizzling. I forgot salt and pepper. I always forget something. I get on people that work for me for not having their needs in place, and here I am. I forget things like salt and pepper. All right, so there's a little salt and pepper. That's the only thing I'm going to put in there. I'm not going to do anything else. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up some bacon. Put this in there. I'm going to cut up all this bacon. Bacon is cooked. This is cooked bacon, so this is not uncooked bacon. So this is, and plus it's the last thing that I'm going to cut. So I mean, it wasn't as if I cut this and then I started cutting other things. I mean, this is the last thing that I plan to cut, nothing else. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, I'll leave the board there, but I'm gonna, all right. Nice spoon. All right. Those cook. And I think that we are at a stopping place now. Hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit longer than last night's. I'm sorry about that, but we'll check back here in a little bit, and the next video will be an Instagram video, Reels video, and basically we'll be doing the final assembly on it. So come back and join us here in a little bit, and I will show you a plate that is worthy of a king. Thank you.